Good afternoon, and welcome to GA for Justice with your community activist, the one and only Georgia Allen. She's here. There she go. How you doing?
Hi. Hello, hello, hello. It is Thursday and I'm excited. I'm so excited. Anyway, again, I am Georgia F. Allen, GA for Justice, and I come to you every Thursday at 12 o'clock noon. And I just want to bring you greetings and also thank you to Mr. Henderson Vaughn, who always opens up the airwaves for us so that we're able to just have a conversation each and every week. And we like to call him Captain 85, C85. So
All right.
anyway, we want to thank you so much to allow us to bring to our listening audience a conversation for information, a conversation for correction when necessary, as well as a conversation for transformation. And if you're taking a look at what's going on around town, there is confusion and conflict and chaos everywhere. So today's topic is chaos and confusion. Baby, it is not an illusion. It is intentional. So if you haven't been paying attention, back in 2017, there was a lawsuit here in the city of Virginia Beach to try to have fair election system here in Virginia Beach. And of course, whenever you're fighting for justice, you're going to always get some pushback. Keep that in mind. Whenever you're fighting for that which is right, you will always get a pushback. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And of course, the month of January is Umoja. We're going to do the first 9 months of the year, and each month is going to be dedicated to a Kwanzaa principle. So Umoja is unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, the nation, and the race. And that is so critically important, and especially important right now as we're in another fight with our city. And while it's not our city council, it is members of the community who have decided that they don't like the new 10-1 election system. You have to ask yourself, well, why don't you like the 10-1 election system? You had plenty of time to voice your opinion, to voice your concerns, to talk and go before city council and share what you feel or how you feel. You had time when the Weldon Cooper Center came to town and said, let me interview the Virginia Beach citizens on how they feel about the 10-1 election system. So you had time to go before council again and share with them. But you also had time at 10 community meetings in every single member district to share your feelings, both good, bad, indifferent, with regards to how the election process is being done. So let me give you a little bit of background. I'm one of these people that have been in the city for quite a number of years, probably older than many of you who may be listening today. And when I was a young child, and I'm not gonna do one of the songs. Every time you say a sentence, it seems like there's another song that pops in your head when you grew up as a child. When I was a young child, what was it? My daddy did what? Something like that. Mr. Henderson is a DJ, so he knows almost every one of those songs. When you say one line of a song, is something that he knows about. But anyway, when I grew up here in the city of Virginia Beach, there was segregation. It was called Princess Anne County back then. We had not become a city yet. And during that period of time, we had a 11-member county seat, basically, because we were a county. We were not a city at the time. And so the way it was established is we had what they call district seats, but at large seats as well. So you thought that if you lived in a district, it would only be the people who lived in that same district who had that opportunity to vote for you for city council, or at the time it was the county. However, the way this city, this county established the way voting was done, you were mandated, if you ran for a district race, to live in that district, but the entire city was allowed to vote and determine whether you could serve on this council or not serve on the council. So if you lived in a district, and these were 7-member districts at the time, if you lived in that district and the majority of the people in your district said, I want you to represent me because I know who you are, I know what you stand for, I know what you're willing to fight for, a cluster of people who had a ton of money could say, I don't want that person on council. I want to select my own person on council. So I'm going to find somebody in that district that we like, that we're going to put money behind that person, and we're going to continue to elect the people of our choice, and the people be damned. That's exactly the way this thing was structured. It was like, okay, even though the people know these people in their district, they know that these people are working, they know that these people are fighting, they know that these people will stand up, because maybe I'm working and I can't get to a city council meeting. Maybe I have children and I'm busy trying to help them with their homework, so I'm not able to be there. But there are certain people who are always the mama of the community. There are certain people in those communities that we know that we can rely on, who are going to fight for us. And so when they structured this hybrid system that mandated you live in this district, but you must campaign in the entire city. And we are a very large city. I think it's like 200 and some miles when you go around the entire city. It's a huge city. Not only that, it had a lot of rural area. So that means you didn't have paved roads back then. When I was a kid, you were on dirt roads or rocky roads, but not paved roads. You were on dirt roads or rocky roads. You were also in a situation where in those particular areas, sometimes you didn't even have vehicles to get back and forth to go and vote. So you had to rely on maybe a neighbor that could take you to the voting precincts. So it was structured in a way that it made it very convoluted, but it also made it extremely difficult. It was a hybrid system. It was a combination. It was a combination of at-large, and it was a combination of districts. And so as time went on, there were people who believed that it was important for everybody to have access not only to the ballot box, but have fair voting system. And so years ago, when I became actively involved in the city of Virginia Beach, and I became a person who believed that we should all have the same opportunities, we looked at the structure of the city of Virginia Beach. By that time, it was the city of Virginia Beach when I became more actively involved. The first portion was when I was a child and growing up here and going through the segregated system, and ultimately getting in an integrated school and dealing with things in the city where at the time when I was a child, we had segregated beaches. Okay. When I was growing up here in the city of Virginia Beach, we were not allowed to go to the ocean front. It was off limits to Black people. Okay. So this is not an illusion. This is reality. So there may be a lot of chaos, there may be a lot of confusion, but I will assure you it is not an illusion, it is intentional. To have a city that tells you that you can pay me taxes, but there's only certain places that you can go to. And in my case, as a child, I was not allowed to go to the oceanfront and go to what was called back then Seaside Amusement Park. So you know that there's a need for representation. There's a need to have people who are elected to office who will fight for your concern and your interests. So later on, after schools became integrated, ultimately, there was an opportunity to go down to Seaside Amusement Park. But of course, when that opportunity became available, by that time, I think I was a teenager, and there was this look on the faces of oppressors all over the oceanfront. Like, why are you down here? Why are you at my park? And if you know anything about Virginia Beach, you will hear over and over again, members of this community to this day will go before the city council and call the oceanfront their oceanfront. In 2024, you will still hear that same type of message. And so it becomes a little bit of frustration when you know that you, your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins all paid into the system to get full and fair representation. And now you have somebody that decided that they don't like what the federal court said with regards to changing the election system in the city of Virginia Beach. So the chaos is coming forward with persons who've decided that no, we don't want you to change the election system, even though you've gone through the court system, even though the federal judge said that Virginia Beach violated the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and that their election system is an unfair, unjust system. Chaos and confusion. Baby, it's not an illusion. It's a reality, and it is intentional. And so today, we want to make sure that people kind of understand what's going on, because we have a habit of going through the motions, but never actually sticking our toe in the water. We walk down to the ocean front and we look at the water and we kind of walk past it. Well, I need you guys to get involved. Okay, you have elected officials on the state level that you can call, because right now this legislation is sitting in the General Assembly. We've asked that Virginia Beach codify the new election system. We've asked for them to change the Virginia Beach charter. And even the city council voted 10-1 to change the charter and to codify the new election system. They sent their legislative aid up to Richmond, presented the bill that they want. Our state delegates in the city of Virginia Beach, both Kelly Fowler as well as Alex Askew, have put forward legislation to change the system. And all of a sudden, along come a guy by the name of Barry Knight, who's also a delegate in the city of Virginia Beach, and a young lady by the name of Ann Tater, who's a delegate in the city of Virginia Beach. And they said, no, I don't think we should vote for this. So what did you elect city council for if you did not elect them to make decisions that's in the best interest of the citizenry? So this is what we're dealing with down here in Virginia Beach. And if it's a problem for you, call your legislator. I don't live in Barry Knight's district. But maybe some of you who are listening today, maybe you live in Berry Knights district. Maybe some of you who are listening today live in Antietam district. Both of them pushed back in the committee. We have a committee on city, towns, and counties. And that's where this takes place in the state legislature, in the General Assembly, is these votes go through the city, towns, and counties, and our representatives who represent us here in Virginia Beach, they present legislation to city, towns, and counties, and then the committee votes on it. And we had the majority, but we still had pushback from our 2 members here in Virginia Beach that are serving on that particular committee in the General Assembly. So if anybody lives in the district of Antietam, Delegate Antietam, or Delegate Berry Knight, you need to give your legislators a call and tell them that you are not pleased with their behavior. You're not pleased with them voting against our very own city council. And the excuse that they use is that there wasn't a unanimous vote on city council. It was a 10-1 vote. 10 people voted in favor to change our charter, to codify the new election system, and only 1 person voted against it. Well, in a case like this, you needed not only a majority, but you needed a super majority, which was 2/3 of the vote. Well, a 10-1 is clearly more than 2/3 of the vote. City council, it wasn't just a majority rule, it was more than 2/3 of the vote to put it across the finish line.
But then they do the survey.
They did all of that.
Why you spend all that money? Why you spend taxpayers' dollars and then you're not going to do what
the citizens said?
That's some crazy stuff.
Exactly. And so we've been at this for a while. We did the city of Virginia Beach brought in a consultant to ask them to reach out to the citizenry and ask them, are they pleased with the 10-1 voting system? And so the citizens came before them in every single district and overwhelmingly said, we support 10-1. As a matter of fact, 81% of the respondents said, we support 10-1. It was across every single demographic, be they Black, white, Asian, Latino, be they young, old, our youth, the younger people, the 18 through 25-year-old, they overwhelmingly supported it. Our senior citizens overwhelmingly supported it. And not only that, every social economic group supported the brand new 10-1 district system. And so in every single solitary case, the people spoke in favor of the 10-1 district system. But along come this guy, former council member. He ran under the 10-1 district system and got beat. So all of a sudden, this is a problem because he said, this is what he said. He said his rights was violated. Now, keep in mind, he had plenty of money to run against his opponent. He had all of these resources that he had access to and got beat. Now, that sounds like the people spoke because you had the money. You had the groups, the organizations, the associations, the restaurants, the hotels, the motels. You had all of these various associations, real estate, all of these associations that were willing to support you and plenty of money.
Right.
But the people said, look, I want somebody that is going to represent my interests. And apparently that is not you.
Hello.
That is not you. So you didn't have your rights denied because you got on the ballot just like everybody else. You went out and got your people to sign your petitions. You got enough signatures to get on the ballot. But getting enough signatures to get on the ballot does not mean that it guarantees that the people are going to vote for you. Because obviously, if you were that great of a city council member,
Hello.
then they would have voted for you. They would have voted for you if you were that great. If what you have been doing, and you've been on council, I think he put down 1996 that he was on council.
96.
He had been on council. At one point in time, he resigned off council. He came back and got back on council. But this particular time, he was appointed to city council because we had someone who stepped down from city council. They went out into the community and people put in their resume of why they would like to be on council. So they did. They appointed him to city council. Now, a lot of times when they appoint you to city council, you serve out that particular time and you allow other people to run for that seat. But once he got back on the council, he decided that he wanted to keep the seat. But he forgot that he does not determine whether or not he keeps that seat. He has to run for that seat. And the people said no. The people said no.
The people said
it. People said, with all your money, with all your connections, I don't want you. So you need to go back and look in the mirror. You need to go back and look at what you have voted for over the years and ask yourself, why did the people say no to you? So don't get mad at the election system. You need to get mad at yourself because obviously you weren't doing enough for people in that district. Otherwise, they would have said, yeah, we'll put you back in there. So this is what we're up against. We have a new system, which is what we call our 10-1 district system. It allows the people in each of those districts decide who they want from that district to represent them on our city council. And just so you get an idea, in those districts now, they are around 48,000 people. So 48,000 people include children, persons who may have registered to vote, persons who may not be registered to vote. But the voting population averages around 33,000 people, which allows someone who's willing to run for office, who cares about the people, who cares about the interests of the people, to be able to run. Because it's no longer a $1 million seat fundraising event or hundreds of thousands in fundraising that you have to do in order to run. Because most people can go to that many doors. Let's keep in mind again, even though there are 33,000, approximately 33,000 people of voting age, there could be a house that have 3 voters in that one house. So it's not like you have to go to 33,000 residential homes. That's not what has to happen. What happens is you have to identify enough voters to get you across the finish line. Well, that's a whole lot easier than trying to get votes from over 400,000 people. We live in a city of over 400,000 100,000 people. Of course, not all of them are of voting age because there's still children and youth and all, and persons who no longer have their voting rights. But there are also a lot of people who have not yet registered. So you're still not looking at 400,000 people to vote for you. You're only looking at a portion of those people who are eligible to vote for you. And the situation is when you have to go through a city this size, that becomes cumbersome. Very cumbersome. It becomes very cumbersome in terms of time that it takes to go go through the entire city, the amount of money that it takes to reach out to that many voters, the amount of people that you need to help you with your campaign that you may have to pay, from campaign managers to people who are volunteers, but you may want to pay them a stipend, to the number of precincts that you would need to cover. If you're in a city that has over 100 precincts, that means you need to try to have coverage for all of those precincts. So you're living in a situation that can be very convoluted, very chaotic, and very confusing to try to cover that much land mass. And so what we are trying to do is break it down to smaller districts so that anybody, an 18-year-old who has been studying political science since maybe they were 12 or 13 years old, because that was a passion for them at a very young age, are now in a position to run for city council in the city of Virginia Beach. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a negative, because even if they don't win at age 18, the experience that they will have running for office to try and win an election, but the people that they will meet running for office, the opportunities that will become available to them because they ran for office can change outcomes. I'm gonna put my glasses on because I feel like my face is getting smaller when I'm sitting up here on the system. But anyway, I want us to understand that it is critically important that we become more engaged in this thing called politics. It is critically important that when we have persons who are trying to change how we do our elections, because they feel like they can't win an election unless it's changed so that it's very favorable to the folks who have plenty of money, who have plenty of contacts, and it becomes unfavorable to the average Joe. And the reason why we did the lawsuit is because we wanted there to be an opportunity for everybody to run and have a legitimate chance to win. And again, even as I gave an example about an 18-year-old or 20, 25-year-old, even if they don't win the first time around in a district setting, the fact of the matter is they did have a legitimate opportunity to win with a much smaller amount of money. Instead of having to raise $500,000, they can raise $30,000 and put some shoe leather to the ground and go and meet people. They can meet people at the park. They can meet people by going door to door, but they have more of an opportunity to meet people in their district than they would if they had to run in the entire city. It changes the outcome. It changes the opportunity for our young people. And I'm interested in persons having the opportunity to run and get elected and serve and bring their ideas and bring their creativity and bring their innovation to our city. Because if our city was working really well, we would not be hearing that our convention center is losing money.
Hello.
We would not be hearing that places like our sports center is losing money, or places like our amphitheater is losing money. We would not be hearing all of that if people that are elected to office, and these are people that were the ones that were behind a lot of these things being in place. The people that are on council now who won in 2022, those are brand new people. Those are not the people that voted for the amphitheater. Those are not the people that voted for the new convention center. Those are not the people that voted for the various sports arenas around this city. Those are not the people who voted for these various corporations to come to town, and these corporations who were supposed to bring all this money, who was supposed to help with the infrastructure, who ultimately did not help with infrastructure. The people that are sitting on council now have not had the opportunity to change some of the things that are going on. So they're not to blame. Those are the people, like the ones that decided to have a lawsuit. I think his name is Linwood Branch, decided that he wanted to sue because he doesn't like the way the council is being structured right now.
Isn't that
one that was behind putting all of these things in place that have caused us, the citizens, to lose money?
But aren't the citizens the one voting?
Huh?
Isn't the citizens the one voting for this?
Exactly. The citizen voted to change and bring in new people on our city council. And because of the new election system of the 10-1 system, we have the most diverse city council in the history of Virginia Beach.
Hello.
And let me share with you. It's not just a city council that is diverse because of race. We have a diverse city council because of age. We dropped the age by probably about 10 or 15 years, because at one point in time, the average age of our city council was over 60 years old. We now have people on our city council who are in their 30s. Some haven't even reached the age of 40 yet. We didn't have that before. Pretty much everybody on city council were old heads.
Hello.
And so we now have a very diverse city council in terms of demographics and in terms of the number of youth that are now serving on our city council. The most diverse city council, male, female, young, old, ever in the history of Virginia Beach. I'm coming up on my announcement time, so I want to shout out an upcoming event that we are going to be having in the city of Virginia Beach. I have been someone out here for decades working on behalf of our community. And one of the things that we do every year in the NAACP is we have what we call our annual Emancipation Proclamation Jubilee Day commemoration event. And I want to encourage you, if you're listening to us today, I want to encourage you to come out. If you cannot come out, please take a picture of the QR code so that you can contribute. Those of us who are out here, we don't get paid to fight on your behalf. We don't get paid to fight for fair voting rights. We do not get paid to fight when someone is shot by a police officer. We do not get paid for any of those things. We do those things as volunteers to try to end injustice in our city. So I want to invite you to come to our annual Emancipation Proclamation Jubilee Day commemoration event. It is going to be held at New Light Full Gospel Baptist Church, where Pastor Eugene Cowan is the pastor of that church. We are going to have two outstanding keynote speakers. Keynote speaker, Dr. Veronica Coleman, who is with New Jerusalem Ministries. And we're going to have Dr. Vanessa Copeland with Mount Zion AME Church. Our message this year is keep your eyes on the prize. And why is that important? Because we have a tendency to sit back and hope that things will work out for the best. Or we have a tendency to get complacent because we think everything is going well. And so I want you guys to know that it behooves all of us. It behooves all of us to stay engaged, to stay involved. And maybe you can't do what I do, or maybe you can't do what Henderson does, or maybe you can't do what the APAC does, but you can do something in order to help us eliminate the chaos, the confusion, and eliminate situations where we lose our rights, where we lose the things that our forefathers fought for. And so I encourage you to come. It is at 2:00 this Sunday, January the 28th at 2 p.m. Again, it's going to be held at New Light Full Gospel Baptist Church. And what is so good about being over at New Light, it is one of the historical Black communities here in the city of Virginia Beach. And the goal, the objective is to bring us together on one accord, to listen to what the speakers have to say. And I asked them to focus on our young people. And if you've been listening to the news over the last few weeks, we are losing our young teenagers and primarily our teenage sons almost every single day. And we want them to know that we value them as a prize of our community. We value their ingenuity, their innovation. We value their creativity. And our focus will be on our young people. So if you don't have it on your calendar, put it on the calendar to go to New Light Full Gospel Baptist Church on Sunday, January the 28th at 2 p.m. It is the NAACP annual Jubilee Day commemoration event. So I wanted to definitely put that out there to you. There are other things that are going on, but when everything happened with this lawsuit, when everything happened with us doing the press conference, everything was happening with us trying to make sure that people are aware of what is taking place here in the city of Virginia Beach. I don't have all the other announcements, but we will have them next week. I promise you, we will have them next week so that we can share with the audience what is going on in our city. And we need you guys to get involved. Of course, this is a church event, so we don't have a fee. It is open to the public, but you can make donations to the NAACP. And especially since my focus is on our young people, we want to use funds from this event to be able to get more involved with our young people. The NAACP has the Youth Council, the Junior Youth Council, the AXO program, the college chapter, all of which are young people. And AXO is the Afro Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics. And we support our young people who are our creatives. These are young people who are focusing on things like movie making. They're focusing on things like becoming entrepreneurs. And we want to encourage them. And we can't do the type of encouragement that we need to do if we don't have the funds and we don't have the money. So don't feel like you can't support the NAACP because Well, something happened to me 500 years ago. Or I'm angry about something that happened during this administration or with that administration. Do not spend a whole lot of time on what happened years ago. Instead, focus on what it is that you can do. Do you have any skin in the game? Have you done anything? Have you helped with anything? Because if you haven't helped with anything, you cannot be angry because the people who are working are not getting paid a dime. They are not getting paid a dime. So when I say chaos and confusion, chaos and confusion is everywhere. And a lot of times it's with that person that's sitting in their house complaining. They're complaining. And they want somebody to fix issues when they're not willing to sit down at the table and put in their skin in the game. But they want you to go out and fix all of their issues. And they have not made any type of contribution, be it showing up at city council chambers, showing up at school board meetings, contributing to organizations who are working on your behalf. So I'm going to say to you again, chaos and confusion is not an illusion. It is intentional. It is to keep you all, running all over the place and not focusing on the issues that are important to you, important to your children, important to your school. And we need you to stop running around in this chaotic manner and coming together and working in unity. Again, this month, Kwanzaa principle is Umoja, unity, to strive for, maintain unity in the family, in the community, in the nation, and in the race. You have an obligation to do that. You have an obligation to unify. You have an obligation to pull yourself together and pull your community together and pull your family together if we're going to make an impact on what is taking place in our city. One person, one group, one organization cannot do it by themselves. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen when we come together on one accord. It's going to happen when we make a decision that we're going to work together. Dr. King tell you, when we work together, when we build together, when we walk together, when we, come together and march together, that's when changes are made. You have an opportunity to support the NAACP. And we're looking as the Religious Affairs Committee to designate funds to our youth. And to those of you who have already donated and contributed to the Jubilee on Sunday, people like Yvonne Ray, funeral services, people like Juanita Williams, who have already contributed, and others who may have already contributed. Also, our churches, New Light, they have opened up their doors so that we can meet there. People like our guest speakers, Dr. Coleman and Reverend Copeland, both who are coming out of their church to come and give a message for our young people. The Ministers Conference, we thank you. We thank all of you who are out there and are supporting us. We have a photographer who's willing to come out and support us and take pictures on our behalf for our event. We want to make sure that all these people are acknowledged. And for those who may give on the day of, my message to my organization, NAACP, is we want a rolling scroll on our Facebook page and on our website to scroll the names of persons who are willing to contribute to churches and so on and so forth. But Mr. Zach Sr. / Zach's Photography, He's going to come out and take photos so that we can then be able to, excuse me, show people what we're doing. And these are things that we're doing on behalf of our young people. Because I know you guys have seen a lot of things that the NAACP has been doing, a lot of activities that we have been involved in over all during last year. And those are ways of coming together to meet new people, to build relationships, and all of that has to be done. But now the groundwork began. The programs began where we are out there on behalf of healthcare, housing, out there on behalf of our young people and our youth. And so we cannot be stifled because of the chaos. We cannot slow down because of confusion. Because we have to remember, the more noise that they make, the more division that they create. And we cannot allow ourselves to be divided. We cannot allow ourselves to be confused by the noise that they're making out there. We must stay united and stay together in order to make sure that our children are protected. We got to make sure that we're doing all the things that we have to do to keep our families and keep our community intact. Those who came before us, the Mary McLeod Bethunes, the Ida B. Wells, they were out there fighting on behalf of us. And although they are no longer here with us today, they were willing to get in that fight. They were willing to fight for us. And so, the question that I have of my listening audience today: what one thing have you done to bring about a change in your family, in your community, in your nation, in the race? What have you done to build a stronger and better community? Because I know you guys listen to me and say, well, you know, she's out there fighting. She's challenging city council. She's challenging she's fighting in the community. And yes, I will fight with you or without you. If I got to fight alone, I'm going to fight alone. But it would be a lot better if we recognize the importance of us fighting as a unit, as a solid unit. It would be a whole lot better if you recognize how important it is to come together on one accord. It would be a lot better if you didn't wait for someone to fight, but you were willing to say, you know what, I know 5 people in my community who are concerned about certain things. And I believe that we can have this fight too, and that we can change things in our community. And then once you go in the community and you start working on issues and stuff, sure, come to the NAACP and say, this is what I've done. Lay out the plan. Show us what you've done. And it makes it even stronger for us to come, because you've already been out there and you've already done something, and they know your name and they know your concern. And now when you share your concerns with people like the NAACP and you've already been out there in the fight, guess what? Now you got a posse that's coming along with you, that are willing to stand up for you, that are willing to come and push back against those things that are harmful to you and your neighborhood, to you and your children, to you and what's taking place in your schoolhouse or your children's schoolhouse, to you and where there are shortcomings. You now have a collective that's coming together that's going to collaborate with you so that you're not in this fight alone. And that's all we're asking. We're asking not to get bogged down in the chaos and the confusion. We're asking you not to sit back and wait until somebody comes along. Get in the fight. Get in the fight, because you're capable. You're more than capable of getting involved in these fights. And you don't have to wait for me to get involved in the fight. You can start it on your own. If you see something wrong in your neighborhood, if you see something going on in your community, go out and find 4 or 5 more people that can fight along with you. And guess what? Believe it or not, you will start to see some changes in your city. I'll give you an example. When we got started in the NAACP, me and several other people like Carl Wright and others, when we got started in the NAACP, we almost felt like we had to start from scratch. But guess what? We made a decision that there were things going on in the city of Virginia Beach that needed to be changed. One, for instance, was the way that they held a local election in May, and a state and federal elections in November. And we looked at that and we said, you know what? That's a lot of work for working class people to take off and maybe lose part of their salary because they're standing in line voting in May and then have to turn around and vote again in November. That's a problem. So we saw it as an issue. So we brought that before City Council and we worked to change having 2 elections to having 1 election for everything in November. That helped people not have to take off twice. Okay. So we saw that. We also saw that our city had horrible hiring practices when it came to the police department, the fire department, the EMS. And so we pushed back against that as well. And we spoke and we met and we worked to help to turn some of those things around. But when we get out here and we fight on your behalf and you get the job and you sit there and you keep your mouth shut, it is not my job for you to ride my back until I'm 80 and 90 years old. It is your job to build upon the doors that was open. Okay? Chaos and confusion is not always about noise. Chaos and confusion is about you being silent on things that you need to make some noise about. So if we're out there and we're opening doors for you, we don't expect you to go through those doors and sit down and not push to open doors for the person behind you. Or we don't expect you, after we open doors for you, to pull the ladder up so nobody else can climb up the ladder. And now we're back in the same situation where there's a very small group of people in these places where there were almost no one there. And so once you guys came in the door, you shut the door behind you. That's not why we fight. That is not why we fight. Okay, we fight to open up doors. And then once you go through the doors, we expect you to help someone else to go through those doors. So again, today's show, chaos and confusion, it is not an illusion. Okay, it is reality. A lot of this confusion is intentional. But a lot of it is on your shoulders and on your backs as well. When these things occur and you keep it to yourself, you don't tell anybody, you don't work within your organizational structure and follow the guidelines, and where it says that when you need to complain, you just do like this and keep your mouth shut and tell everybody over there, don't say anything. We don't want to rock the boat. We need to rock the boat, okay? We need to rock the boat. We don't need to stay in a place of confusion and chaos and never change outcomes. Again, this show is about providing information, providing correction when necessary, but the most important thing is it's about providing transformation. There should be some transformative things going on in Virginia Beach, and there should not be one person transforming everything in Virginia Beach. It should be a collective. It should be unified. It should be those of us coming together on one accord, making changes in this city because we have our now generation and our next generations. And if we are not standing up and pushing back and fighting back against what's going on, then we have done a disservice to our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, and those yet unborn. We need to do better. And I do not know why every time I come on the radio now, my voice decides it wants to have its own fit. So I think next week I'm gonna put a mint in my mouth so I can actually talk without having a scratchy throat. This is about the third show in a row that I've had trouble speaking to you guys.
Hey, that's what happens when you start telling the truth. The enemy said, I ain't gonna let you speak it. I'm not gonna let it get out there. You might call 20 people to go register to vote that ain't registered before.
Well, guess what? Even with a quiet voice, I am gonna still speak loud, okay?
No question, no question.
Okay, because let me tell you, I'm in this fight because I want to create a better city and a better opportunity for those who are coming behind me. This situation, these things that are taking place and all, I may have started the ball to rolling, but there's a whole lot of you out there who can get involved and can continue to push that ball uphill, because now is not the time to sit back quietly. Now's the time to get involved, be engaged, and let's go ahead and make a difference in the city of Virginia Beach. This is Georgia Allen with GA for Justice. And until next week, we will see you then. So, Henderson.
Okay. Don't forget to get a snapshot of this flyer so you can donate something to the NAACP Annual Emancipation Proclamation Jubilee Day. It's coming up this Sunday. And remember to pass that information on to other people on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you might be at. TikTok too, because everybody's on TikTok and I'm getting ready to make a move there too. But nevertheless, thank you for tuning in to GA for Justice with your host, the one and only community activist, Georgia Allen. And she will return next Thursday from 12 until 1. And don't forget to tell a friend. Thank y'all for listening. Bye-bye.